All right. Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning. Today's Daf Nun Tes. We actually got maybe a third of the way down to Amarav Chinana Berei David.
What's that? Amar
Nun Tes Amar Aleph. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Like a third of the way down. Last towards the line. Amarav Chinana. Let's see what the hate changes to. Yeah, Chanina. All right. Amar Chanina Berei David Ma'idich Siv. What does the pasuk mean? V'loisano ish el amiso. That person should not go ahead and fraud his friends. So what does it mean? Amiso. We already said this is ona of dvarim, of not being honest, of being hurtful words. So she'itcha b'torah of mitzvahs. Altanu. So somebody who's with you, in the same nation, who's the same as you in Torah mitzvah, such a person one should not go ahead and defraud. And the person should be careful with the tears of one's wife, that from her tears, since her tears are readily available, she comes to cry easily, then she's upset. If she's upset, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays back those who hurt, those people. So therefore, since she's going to cry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to immediately listen. And Amar Rabbi Yezmi Shenichra Beis Hamikdash Nalo Shari Tefillah. In the days that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the gates of Tefillah have really been closed. Shneamar Gam Ki Ezek Shasam Tefillasi. It says there you go, you scream out. So nevertheless, his prayers have been silented. V'afi Shari Tefillah Ninalu. And even though the gates of prayer are locked, Shari Demos Lo Ninalu. Nevertheless, the gates of tears are not locked. As the pasuk says, Shima tfilasi Hashem v'shavasi azika el dimasi al tachrish. That hear out my supplications. Those might not be listened. Nun test and I'll smack them on the page.
You got the wrong.
Nun test. Those have been ignored. The prayers have been ignored, but the tears have not been ignored. Hashem still listens to tears, and that's why we said, be careful with one's wife. One's wife comes to tears easily, and then he will be punished. Whoever goes with the advice of his wife, falls. Says, don't be like Achav, who listened to his wife Izabel, and his downfall came from there. So Amr Leirav Pabla Bayi, I mean she's goitza gachim tilchashla. Right, woman's wife is short. Then you should bend down to go ahead and talk to her, i.e., talk to her and listen to her and take her advice. So I thought you're not supposed to take a woman's advice. So this is like kasha habamila the alma, habamila the besa. One is the comes to worldly matters, politics, this and that. Then don't listen to women. However, when it comes to matters of the household, that is something you should listen to your wife. And lishnachrina, some of a different version. When it comes to be in terms of mitzvahs and halachas and stuff like that you should not listen to your wife. However, but when it comes to worldly matters, then you should listen to your wife. And also all the gates of all the gates are closed, i.e. the gates of Tefillah, except for those of a person who was wronged, a person who was hurt by Onas Devarim. Such a person, because he was the victim, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays back for the victim. The pasuk says, "Hinei Hashem nitzav al chaymas oincha v'yada oincha." It says over there, Hashem stands upon the wall of oinacha. Even though this is referring to something else, they used to go ahead and to make sure the walls were straight, they would lower down a rope with a weight at the bottom, and that goes straight down because of gravity to make sure the walls were straight. But it says over there that Hashem stands over this wall, and the oincha, like Ona, is in his hand, i.e., he pays back retribution for those victims of Ona. And everything is paid back through a shaliach, except for Ona. As the pasuk says, right now, Hashem's hands, right, is the he pays back for those victims of Ona's devar. And right, there are three people that there is no curtain in front of them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees what goes on. Oina, the Gezel, the Varazara. Right, HaKadosh Baruch Hu keeps a watchful eye on these things. Ona, theft, and idol worship. Oina dechsiv yada eincha, says in his hands the eincha. Gezel dechsiv chamas v'shad yishma ba al panai tamid are on my hand. Constantly. In other words, Hashem watches out for those who extort and those who steal. And about Azar Ha'am right? Those people who anger me, referring to idol worshippers, are on his face tamid constantly. And Amarav Yehuda, around 12 lines from the bottom on Nun Testament Aleph. Amarav Yehuda, the other Adam Zayir Betua B'Seich Beis. The person should always be clear to have enough food in his house, enough grains. She'ein Ma'ariva Mitzvah B'Seich Beis Shel Adam El Al Iskei Tvua. That only when it comes, the strife comes in the household once. Basically, people go hungry, and now they get desperate, and that's when fights begin, right? Or as we say, hangry, right? You get hangry, right? You're hungry and angry. Shnei Bazez. It says over there that there will be peace when you will be satiated, so therefore that will prevent anger. And Amara Papaina Damin, the people say, Kamashim Sare Michta, Nakish Aviasi Tigra Bevesa, right? When you finish out the pitchers or the vessels of barley, of the grains, then strife will enter into the house. The person always make sure that he has enough grain in his house. That only became to be called impoverished only once matters that they ran out of grain. They planted over there, and then they camped there, and then the Midian was outside them. The Midian came and they destroyed their crops, and only then were they called impoverished. The person always be careful with the honor of one's wife. That the blessing is only found in one's house because of the honor of one's wife. And goodness came to Avram because of Sarai, because because of that he was treated well by Avimelech? Yeah. Behind the army, the Rabbi used to say to Bnei Mechuzah, "Oikirul in the Shaychu ki hechi that he's out through." Right? You should go ahead, be careful to go ahead and give honor to your wife, in order that you shall become wealthy. Now comes a long Maisa, sort of a famous Maisa. So Tan husband over there, so they went ahead and they took like an oven type of kli, right? Chopped into parts and put sand in between and put it together as pieces. So Rabbi Eliezer says, no, this is similar to something which is built into the ground. Something built into the ground is not a kli, right? And therefore, it's not subject to tumah. Right? Nothing to do with anything. We'll soon see what we're talking about. Chachamim say such a case is tamei, right? This is still considered to be a kli. So this is Rabbi Eliezer says it's tahor. He was like makel in the matter. Chachamim say it's tamei. Turn the page. And this is considered to be an oven of like of a serpent. So mayach noy. What does it mean? A serpent. So Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel devarim ka'achna zubatemu. Right. So it says there basically they circled it. They circled questions. Is it tamei? Is it Torah? They kept going around and around and around and around until they decided it was tamei. And Rabbi Eliezer still says Torah. Rabbi Eliezer answered every question and to prove that why should be Torah. However, they did not answer them. So Amar said to them, if the halacha is like me, let this carob move. So nekar charuv imkaima mei amos. So the carob moved 100 amos. Some say arba meos amos. Others say it moved 400 amos. So the carob tree miraculously moved to support Rabbi Eliezer. So we don't bring proof from carob trees. So right? Let the water prove me right. So the water started going the other way. It started going upstream instead of downstream. So we don't bring proof from channels of water. Let the walls of the base medrash, prove them right. So So the walls began to start to cave in. So Gar Bahem Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Yeshua, he got up and he got upset. Right? I understand the rabbis are arguing in halacha. What is it? Your business walls? What are you doing? So the walls did not fall because of the honor of Rabbi Yeshua. However, the walls did not go straight back up because of the honor of Rabbi Eliezer.
There you go.
Ah, perfect.
Blue ones need to get fired.
That's true, that's true.
Please.
This is the Eliezer ben Hercules, right?
Yes. So they had died, matin the oidim. But so the walls were still standing, they didn't fall down, but they're still up. Because remember them, email kamaisi, if the loch is like we mina shemaim yochicha, we're in Nun Testament base, right? Middle way of the here, right over here. See where I'm pointing? Yeah. Like right over here. Nun Testament base. Yeah, right around there.
You did that with back.
Yeah. If the lach is like me, let the heavens prove me right. What do you guys have against Rabbi Yezer that the lach should be like him at every place? So Amar Rabbi Yeshua Arag, Rabbi Yeshua Sudan Svi, Amar. No, the Torah is not decided in the heavens. Samayla b'shamayim. What does it mean, lo b'shamayim? So Rabbi Yirmiyah shekfar nos na Torah b'Har Sinai. The Torah was already given on Har Sinai, and ain't other mashgichim b'vaskol, and we don't listen to Baskal mashgifar akasa b'Har Sinai because we already received in your laws given to us on Har Sinai. But Torah it says over there, achir rabin lahatais. It says go after the majority, and the majority here says it's tamei. So we're not listening to Rabbi Eliezer. So I don't want to hear from you, Shemayim. And so one time, Rabbi Nassan, one time, Rabbi Nassan, he saw Eliyahu and Navi. So what was HaKadosh Baruch Hu doing at that moment when that occurred? He was amused. He was laughing. Actually, my sons outsmarted me. Right? The taka, they're right. Right? It's not for Shemayim to get involved. So they said, "I saw Yain. Have you called Tahara Shatir Rabbi Yezer?" They brought everything that Rabbi Yezer was matayir. The sarfum be'esh and destroyed him in fire because they held it was tummy. They need no love, and they decided they took a vote of Baruch and they put him in Cherem. So now they decided, okay, me Yelech v'yodim. Who's going to go ahead and inform him? I'm going to let Rabbi Kiva. Let Rabbi. So I'm going to let Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva says, "Ani Yelech. I'm going to go." Shema Yelech Adam Shein Hagul v'yodim v'nimsa machris kolam kuloi. Perhaps someone's going to go ahead and inform them. And basically tell him the wrong way. He's going to take it the wrong way, and he's going to get upset, and he's going to bring destruction to the world, right? By being upset, he's going to curse all of us. So, Master Rabbi Kiva, what did Rabbi Kiva do? So, love he went ahead and he put on black, and he and wrapped himself in black clothing. The Yasha Lefana Berachuk Arbams. He said, "Perform Dalat Amos away." So, Amar Lo Rabbi Eliezer. So, Rabbi Eliezer said to Rabbi Kiva, says, "Akiva. My yummy, I mean, why are you sitting any different? Why are you sitting on the floor there? Why are you wearing black? What's going on here? Amalo Rabbi, it appears to me that your friends have distanced themselves from you, i.e., hint, they put you in cherem. And Afu Kaya Begada, so then he went ahead and he tore his clothes, and removed the shoes, and then he went ahead and he sat on the ground. And Zalgu Einav Demois, and then his eyes became full of tears. Right, he was hurt. Laka ha'elam shlish. So the world at that point, right, from his being hurt, Laka ha'elam shlish b'zeisim, shlish b'chitim, shlish b'sarim. The world became damaged. Right, a third of the olive crop, and a third of the wheat, and a third of the barley. Some say some say even that the dough that was already in the hands of the housewives, those are also went bad. And Tana Ach Godol Hoya Be'oisa Yom. Right, and also there's also another more travesty happened that day. Wherever Rabbi Yezer wherever Yezer would set his eyes upon, Nisraf would burn. The Af Rama Gamliel, and Rama Gamliel, who was the Nasi, Hoya Baba Sfina, right? He was trying to stay out of it. He was on the ship. Onalav Nachshol Itoivo. So there was large waves were coming to go ahead and turn over the ship that he was at sea. And Omar, he said to himself, so this appears to me, this is only occurring because of Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, who we placed into Cherem. So Omar Aragla, Rabbi Gamliel set up the Omar, and he said to the heavens, Rebbeinu Shalom, Galui v'yadu lefanecha, let it known before you, Shalom l'chvodi asisi, I did not do this for myself, or my own honor, or not for the honor of the Beis Nasi. Right? I did it for your honor, Hashem. Shalo Yabu Machloikas B'Yisrael, in order there should not be Machloikas B'Yisrael. Then the sea became settled down. Mizafel from his anger. So Amar Shaloi Mizafel. So the singer, the sea, settled down and he was saved. So Ema Shaloi the Beiseyo the Rabbi Yezer Achti Rabbi Gamliel Havi. So Ema Shalom, that was her name, was the wife of Rabbi Yezer, and she was the sister of Rabbi Gamliel. So Rabbi Gamliel, they were brother-in-laws, Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yezer. From that point on, she didn't want him ever to say Tachman. Why? Because he would say Tachman, he would cry out to Hashem. Hashem would listen, and basically, he was upset with his brother-in-law. So she was worried about basically her husband saying Tachman, which could cause the death of her brother-in-law, Rabbi Gamliel. Her brother, Rabbi Gamliel. How you that day? So it was that day. It was day 30 that she thought it was Rosh Chodesh. She thought the month was Chatzir, and it was really Malay. So the month was really 30 days. So actually, you say Tachnon on the last day of the month. So she wasn't watching her husband. And he could some say, why wasn't she watching her husband? So also Anya, right? Or some say that there was a poor person came to her gate and she went to get him some bread. So and then she turned around. She saw that he was saying Tachman. Oh no, what have I done? I let him say Tachman. Get up quickly, stop! You're going to kill my brother. Adhachi. Nevertheless, that moment, Nafak Shipura Mi Beis Gamliel, there was an announcement from the house of Gamliel, the Shachiv, that he passed away. So they turned to her, Amalam, and you thus. How do you know that? How do you know it was going to happen? Samalei, Kach Mekwanim Beis Avi. This is what I got from my father's house. Kol Hasha'arim Ninalim Chutz Meshari No. They said earlier, all the gates are closed except for those who have been hurt by words, and therefore his tefillos were hurt because he was hurt, and therefore I knew that he was, Hakadosh Baruch Hu would listen to a tzaddik such as Rabbi Yezir ben Hurkos. But that was the Ma'aseh. Ma'anes a ger. One who goes ahead and hurts a ger, so he violates 3 isurim, and one who goes ahead and oppresses them, it violates 2. So what's about by is 3. So it says v'ger loisona. It says a ger you should not oppress. Actually, do not hurt, do not fraud. When a ger lives amongst you, you should not be loisono so loisono ish esamiso. We saw the third pasuk, which is for everybody, that you should not go ahead and also hurt anybody with words amongst amiso, amongst your nation. The ger b'chlal amiso, and the ger is amongst your nation. I so look to namish leshiksi, but even the oppressing was also 3 psukim. It says the lo silchal tzeno, the ger lo silchos. And you should not go ahead and press them. The gear b'chlal, and the gear is including those. Rather, both of them are with 3 lavin. And Tanya, we learn about Rabbi why was the Torah careful in 36 places to warn us about a ger? Rather than some say have a different type of count. The menvav mekaymes kager, or 46 places where the ger mipnei shesorura. Because they come from, they descend from people who don't have great qualities, and therefore perhaps a person will go back into, what's the word I'm looking for? They'll regress back to the behaviors of their forefathers, and they get offended or assaulted and say, you know what, I'm out of here, and they'll go back to the ways of their fathers. So the ger loisana, what is the ger loisana? Right? What does it mean that you should not go ahead and oppress them and hurt them? Because you guys, yourselves are ger mitzrayim. So, yes, Tanya within the Bryce, Rabbi Nassan, mum shebecha al tamar lecharecha. Right, the mum that you have, you should not go ahead to mention to others. So you think that there's they come from bad lineage. You came from slaves in Egypt, so don't forget that you're also like a ger. But people say also. The zakif le zakifa, but you say lo name le lechavi zakif benasa, right? Like a person who had someone hanged in their family, right? Someone was a scoundrel and he was put to death by hanging. So you shouldn't use that word and say, "Oh, can you hang up this fish?" Like that will be hurtful to that person. Fine. Now Mishnah. Mishnah says, bottom of Nun Testament base. A person should not go ahead and mix up fruits from different crops. from one to another, even new to others, because he's selling them. Right, he's decided because then the person doesn't know what he's buying. Well, so see, even if they're both fresh fruits, he shouldn't go ahead and do it. Certainly chadashim b'yishanim, shouldn't go ahead and say mix new ones with old ones. However, when it comes to fine. So and there because not only that, but so but when it comes to wine, you are allowed to go ahead and mix the strong wine with the weaker wines because the stronger wines help the weaker ones. Because he makes them better. And a person should not go ahead and mix the sediment into wine, but he's allowed to go with shmar yain b'yain, a sediment of wine with wine. But he's allowed to go ahead and mix its own sediment into it. We'll soon see what that means in the Gemara. And mishin is mine b'yain. A person goes ahead and mix water with his wine. Lo yim karena b'chanus elim kein deal. He should not go ahead and only sell it in the store only if he informs the customer that he went to dilute below the sager, and he can't go ahead to sell it to a middleman. Even if he tells him, "Hey, this wine is diluted," why? Because he's going to go ahead and turn around and he's going to claim that it was not diluted. And the place where they do go ahead and sell diluted, where they dilute water into wine, he can go ahead and put it in. And a middleman, he's allowed to go ahead and take from 5 different threshing floors. The nice in the seich megura achas and put it all in one all together. He's also allowed to go ahead and take wine and put it into one big cask. As long as it doesn't go ahead and tend to mix, but people know that usually the grains come from different places. So let's see what's going on in the Gemara. So now, the older grains would, since they were drier, they would normally produce more. The older crops would produce more grains. So I can't say to mix in to make it fuller, to make it more. That if you have new ones that are now when it says 4, right? Picture you get 4 for $1. Now it's a little cheaper, and the older ones, the better ones, are you only get 3 pounds for $1, right? So obviously the price of 3 pounds for $1 is more expensive than 4 pounds for $1, right? Because you get more. So you not only can you not mix in old ones, which are more expensive with the new ones, right? But even to go ahead and mix with the new ones, you're going to go ahead and mix older ones, which are more expensive. Because maybe you can't go ahead and put old ones in, because even though they're more expensive, why? Because maybe the person is saying like this: I want the grains, I'm not going to use it now, I'm going to use it in 6 months. So he doesn't want old grains now, even though they're better right now. But for his usage, he actually wants new ones because he's going to go ahead and let them sit for 6 months. So therefore, he can't go ahead and mix it because you don't know the person's intentions. And b'yemes amro b'yayin atila kasha berachim v'shum mashvicho. So amar Eliezer. So Ada Omer. So Ada Omer means like zosomeres. This means kol b'yemes. Anytime it says the expression b'yemes, right in the Mishnah, b'yemes amru b'yemes, kol b'yemes amru halacha. That is the accepted halacha. And number of Nachman Ovein Agita Shana. We're also talking about when they used to go ahead and during the fermenting season. Right, the fermenting season, that's when they're talking about to go ahead and put the older wine with the new one, because then it ferments it better. But now we go ahead and we blend it in, even not during fermenting season. How can you do that? Because people know that it was mixed, and therefore they're Michael. Or Rav Acha B'rei Ravika Amar Hamani, who's this Rabbi Yachi? This Rabbi Yacha, the time of Rabbi Yacha Matir B'davar Anitim, something which you can taste it. Therefore, you're not fooling anybody, and therefore a person knows who's buying it. He knows that it was mixed in. You can't go ahead and mix the sediment into wine, but you can go ahead and put it into its own sediment. So, we said you can't mix it at all. So what does it mean? You can go ahead and put its sediment in to come my delay when he informs him. So what does that mean? But the Sefer says, it says you cannot go ahead and sell it to a merchant excuse me, until a final user. Well, only if you inform him. Below this sagar, not to another merchant. If you inform him, Michlal, the Reisha, that the Reisha is talking about, even if he doesn't inform him. So Rav Yehuda, this is what it means to say, you can't go ahead and mix yesterday's sediment into today's wine. And not today's sediment into Bishel Emosh, into yesterday's wine. You can go ahead and mix its own sediment in. In other words, if I pour from a barrel, right, the only time it's permitted, if I pour the wine into the barrel and its own sediment is still on the bottom of that barrel, I'm allowed to go ahead and take that sediment and put it into and mix it with the wine that I just poured into the new into the new one. But I can't use yesterday's sediment from a barrel into today's wine, or yesterday's wine into today's sediment. Those I can mix. But if it's its own wine with its own sediments, then you're allowed to go ahead and mix those together.
In other words, from the same date.
Right, for the same one, exactly. Right, because because the sediment really was with it. So therefore, that which I transferred into another kli, it'll be permitted. And Tanya Hamaka similarly learned Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Hashefi Yain Lechaver. One who goes ahead and pours wine for his friend, right? In other words, he's selling it to him. You can't go ahead and mix it yesterday's with today's. And you can't go ahead and mix today's with yesterday's. We can do yesterday's of yesterday's, or today's with today's. And Mishnah said, so Rava, I see the Chamra. So Rava, he
obvious, since you know you're basically giving them inferior quality wine, you have to let them know. Otherwise, it's your.
Yeah, unless it was accepted to have it, as Mishnah said, accepted as diluted. So let's see. But I think the chiddush is that even if you tell a middleman, you're not allowed to do it because the middleman is not going to go ahead and inform the end user. So that's the more the mechudesh part. So Rava, so Rava, he got some wine from a store, some mazagit, so he diluted it, tame, and lo have a boss. He didn't like it, so what did he do? Shadur lechanusa, he decided to go ahead and sell it back to a store. He diluted it and he sold it to a store and says, you guys go ahead and sell it. So what it says? You can't go ahead and sell diluted wine to somebody who's going to sell it to somebody else. Now, if you didn't inform him, so Rabbi responded, everyone can taste my dilution. People always, take a little bit of wine before they purchase it. Everyone's going to know this was Rava's, and he diluted. And what are you going to say? Maybe he's going to go ahead and dilute it more, right? So then there's never going to be an end to it. Because in other words, even if you sell regular wine to a merchant, perhaps he's going to go ahead and dilute it. So you can't be worried about that. So therefore, in the davar. So and if the place is no way to put water, then he can't go ahead. So Tana Lamechza. So the Shlish Levi. And all we're talking about places, whether the custom is to put half of water, or a third, or a quarter. And Amarav Ben Nagita Shan, we're also talking about during the wine making, during the fermenting season. Fine. Now comes a commerce class for the last Mishnah. All right, your marketing class that you took in college, marketing 101. Let's see, Zok the Mishnah. You can't go ahead and a storekeeper cannot go ahead and give out like free candies or nuts, right, to children, because they're constantly going to be at his store buying from him. He's going to give himself an unfair advantage over the other stores. Market, right? Because he's getting them accustomed to come to him, and that's not fair. The Chachamim say, no, this is perfectly mutter. Right. So right. So the shul's over here, he's trying to do business, right? So he gives out lollipops. Right. So they're going to give out lollipops. They're going to want to go to that store. Right, you go to the bakery, right? Oh, take me to the bakery because they give me a free cookie, a sprinkled cookie. I want to go there. So, right, you're not allowed to do it. From says motor. You can't go ahead and sell it for too cheap, lower than the market price. No, that's a good thing. You can lower your price. Yeah. So yeah, well, so see the levers agrees, and you can't go ahead and basically sort of make the nice, move around. Let's say the beans and take out, make look nice. Divrei Abashav, Chaim say it's mutter. But if you just do the top, right, not clean out, just clean out the top, but the rest underneath is not good, right, it's not cleaned out, then that's just misleading. And ein mafresin lo yasa adam lo yasa behema lo yasa kelim. You can't go ahead and beautify something you're selling, not a person, not a behema, and not utensils. You're selling say an avid kanani or an animal or other things. You can't go ahead and put lipstick on a pig. We'll soon see what that means. So my time of the Rabbana, what's the reason for Rabbana who allow you to go ahead and give out goodie stickers? Damarle, Ana Mafliga Amgaizi, Mafliga Shiski, right? I went out and give out nuts, you can give out prunes. In other words, do what you want. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just doing it. This is my marketing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a sharp. You can't go ahead and undercut the market. And the Rabban said it's good. So my time of the Rabban, what's the reason according to the Rabban? Mishum. Because why is it good? Because he's going to lower the price for the market. You know, everyone else is going to see he's selling it for cheaper. He's lowering the price. He's lowering the price of the Tesla, so they'll lower the price also. So keep it down. What's the bad thing? Supply and demand. It's a grease in divra show coming material. You can't go ahead and sift it out and make the product nicer. That's Rabbi Yachim but Davar Hanira, something which is seen. You can go ahead and make it nicer to give yourself a competitive advantage. So therefore, such a thing is permitted as long it's as people can see. And a matters yes, you can't go ahead and dress up. So Tanrabanan a misharpdin as a behema. You can't go ahead and make the animal's hair stick up. You can't go ahead and let's say we're talking about a dead animal. You go ahead and you inflate the intestines so it looks bigger. Or soak the water in meat also, because maybe that will also appear better than it really is. So my mishart, what does it mean to make its hair stick up? So hacha to your the chizra, right over here. They used to go ahead and give the animal, I guess this type of broth made from grains from bran to go ahead and drink it. The Ziri Omar Rav Kahana, he said mizakafta, right, to go ahead and comb it. And Shmuel Charla Mirma Tume Lasarbla. He used to go ahead and allow them to go ahead and attach little decorations, silk decorations to to a coat to make it look nicer. And review the Charla Kilusi Karmi, he would go ahead and also he would, I guess, you can starch up or dry clean the clothing that was being sold. And Rabbi Shara Lamidak Sardi, he used to go ahead and also to hit out the materials in order to make it look nicer. And Rava Shara Letzlui Gere, he would also go ahead and I guess point arrows, make it look nicer. Now, you also go ahead and paint the baskets that it came in to make it look more appealing.
Or two getting bag of chips with bags of big.
Welcome to Pesach, right? It's even worse on Pesach.
Yeah.
I've on Tanan, aim a phrase in the can't go ahead and dress these things up. So like the new ones you can go ahead and dress up. Right, but old ones to make it look new, that could become misleading. What's the case of misleading? So what's the case of that? So of the Sachava, there was a certain older slave being sold. The Ozil Sabi Lareshe. What did he do? He dyed his hair, his black, and his beard. He had a white beard, he dyed it black. Asa Kameda Rava. Sarmalei, he says, Zivnan, buy me, right? Look, I'm a young man. I got black hair, a black beard. Amalei, yi anim b'nei meischa. Right. He says, no, let the I think it's a pasuk, right? So he said, so he basically said that let the poor people, if I need work done, I'd rather hire the poor people of my, Jewish people. So he wants to go ahead and buy, not Eved Kanani. I don't want Eved Kanani. No, thank you, sir. Also, came for Rav Shmuel and Zavne. He went ahead and he bought it. He bought this guy instead of buying a poor person. He says, okay, it's a good deal on this guy. I don't know what everyone's missing. I'll get this guy. So he says, go get me some water. So also the ratio of the dikne, he went ahead, he washed out the dye in his hair and his beard, and now all of a sudden he has white hair, white beard. I'm older than your father, right? You want me to go ahead and get you water? It's not covenant, right? So basically, he was duped by this Evan. So Karya Nafshi, so he said about himself, Tzaddik mitzara nachlas v'yavo acher tachta, right? And I was a person who's a tzaddik is he's rescued, right, from issues like Rava was rescued. Rava, didn't fall for the guy, he defended the Jews, and other people, fools like myself, trouble comes their way. So therefore, trouble came my way because I didn't, want to go ahead and hire a Jew. I hired this Evan Kanani, and it backfired because this guy is older than my dad. Mazel tov, and finishing one of the hardest prakim. Yeah, one of the hardest prakim in Shas. And speaking of which, hardest prakim in Shas, Eizon Neshech has basically a reputation of being. That was, and now Eizon Neshech has a reputation of being the hardest pair.
Especially when he's
and that's false advertising.
Right, it was the other way around. Oh no, it was actually worked that way because then he appeared to be wise, even though he was young. Right, he was misleading for his benefit. He didn't do it. He didn't die it himself. So, all right. Ezu neshech ve'ezu tarbus. What's going on here? That's a good question. All right.
Nick, how long is the period?
Yeah. It goes, I think, 10, 15 about. Yeah. So, what is neshech? So, the Torah, we'll soon see. Actually, we're going to bring it out today. The Torah uses two psukim. Which you want to see? All right. So, two psukim regarding interest, right? One is called neshech, right? Neshech, biting, right? In other words, when you bite, basically you're taking from somebody else. So basically the borrower is he gets bit, i.e., right? He has to pay a lot of money for not as much money, right? So he has to pay interest, right? So interest is getting bit. But tarbus. Another thing is called tarbus. Tarbus is basically almost going on the lender because he basically is being marbet, right? He's becoming rich, right? He's getting more money. He's giving, payday advance. He's getting ribbis. Come for the word. So, but I'm saying ribbis is called two things in the Torah. It's called neshech, right? Pasuk says, right? That's katkol. You see a little bit neshech. Uva marbis loitite, right? Oichalecha, right? So there's two parts. So what is ezu neshech? Ezu tarbis. What is case of neshech? What is case of tarbis? So ezu neshech on the raisa level, hamalva sella b'chamish dinar. So we saw, those of you recall, a sella was worth 4 dinar, right? We said it was sella was like 96 isarim, and the other one was 24, it was 1 quarter. So he lands a sella, right? And then he gets returned 5 dinar instead of 4 dinar. So that is neshech, right? So
For the deal, you're gonna give me back 5? Or
I'm sorry?
Was that part?
That was the deal, right? Yeah, simple enough. I'll give you that, right? Or he says, "Matayim chitim b'shalosh," or he says, "I'll give you 2 sales of wheat, and you pay me back 3." Aser mipnei shehu neshech. That is neshech 101. Now, vezu tarbis. What is tarbis? Now, hamar bepeiros. So one who goes ahead. So what is that? So it's a hamar bepeiros. One who increases, right, from the other side, instead of getting a bite out, going on the lender side, he increases assets through the pairs. Ketzad, how so? So lokach heimenu chitim b'dinar zav hakur. So one who goes ahead and he buys from his friend a dinar, right? A silver dinar. We said a silver dinar is worth 25. Excuse me, a golden dinar, which is 25 silver dinar. Okay, so here's a gold dinar, and I want a gold dinar's worth of a kur, right? A certain measurement of wheat. Okay, now. And that was the set price. That was the market price. Nothing shady going on yet. So, and he says, here's the money. So I give Alan the money. I said, here's my gold coin, and it's worth 25 silver coins, and for wheat, and that's the market price. And I'll pick up the 20 for what this amount, the kur. I'll pick it up later next week. So Amdu chitim b'shlosh dinarim. All of a sudden, the price.
We learned the not a kingdom yet.
Right.
He doesn't take anything.
Exactly. So Amdu chitin, the shleish dinar. All of a sudden, next week comes around, and you know how much it is for 1 kur? 30 silver coins, not 25. Right? I gave him 1 gold, which is 25. Now it's 30. Truth is, this is mutter. Right? This is not even the case yet. Right? Why is this mutter? Because. So Alan's like, you didn't pick it up. Yeah, I didn't acquire it. So I gave him then. I'm taking it up later. I'm getting more later. And Ivan, right? So the halach is that since I gave it and you have it, it's in your stock, or it's readily available, and the price was the fair market price
At the time.
at the time,
Right.
right? When I did it today for next week, that was the price. So therefore, I just lacked to pick it up, but I still get a court because that was the set price, and you had it. So therefore, since both of those qualified, that's not even the question yet. This is not even ribbis. This is mutter so far. There's no kidding yet, but it was still mutter. So what's going on? So where's the tarbis coming in?
So it's just because you didn't pick it up.
No, everything is okay. Now-
A few pages before that, if you didn't pick
Right.
it up.
So let's say this, make
still
it
not
easier.
clear.
I gave him $25, right, for a pound. What's like $25 a pound for a pound of whatever, a fish or whatever, right? Pound of lox, right? So pastrami, corned beef, right? Romanian corned beef,
The extra lean.
extra lean Romanian corned beef. I gave you $25 for a pound. I'm going to get it next week. Come next week, it's already $30 for the pound, right? I know it's inflation. Everyone is not familiar with that, but that's what happens. Food prices go up sometimes. So now he says, under dinarim. So Amrloi, tain lechitai. So I said to you, I need my wheat. I need my actually in corned beef. Why shouldn't he? Right? So the Moshe comes to talk about because I need to go ahead and buy wine with it. I want to go ahead and trade the pound, which is now worth $30, right, for wine. And Amrlo, the seller says, or Alan will say to me, Amrlo, I have an idea. You know what? Your corned beef, right? Your wheat is, I gave you a $30 credit. All right. Now I'll give you $30 in wine. Okay. So basically you can have wine, and he doesn't have any wine. Alan's like, so Alan says to me, you want wine? I'll get you wine. I have to go out to get, but I'll get it for you. All right, I'll get you wine. I owe you wine. I owe you $30 worth of wine. So such a case is such a case is ribbis. Why? Because you basically, or me, I gave you $25, and 2 weeks later, or a week later, I got value of $30 left because you didn't have the wine in stock, right? You didn't trade it. So therefore, that's a case of tarbis. That's a case of me getting rich, right? By allowing my money to be by him. All right. So therefore, because I'm getting now $30 in wine, that's the issue. All right. The Gemara is going to analyze this case because there's a lot of steps to it, right? It didn't just give a simple case, right? So that was the mission. Let's see the Gemara now. So first we got to get into the technicalities. We're really going to get into the cases more the next couple of days. What? The last part. I gave him simple case. We're going to go in 2024 terms. I gave Alan $25, right? I gave him a $25 and it says, I want $25 of corned beef.
It's a pound.
Which was right, for a pound of corned beef. Right, for a pound of corned beef for $25, that was a fair market thing. It's about, I'll get it for you next time. I don't have time to pick it up. I'll get it for you another time. Alan says,
pick it up now another time.
Alan says, but give me the cash. I want the cash, right? So I said, okay, fine. Here's the cash. Now I come back a week later and I said, oh, good thing I paid for you then because now the pound, now it's 30. And Alan says, oh, you need it now? I said, yeah, because I need to go ahead and buy wine. He said, oh, why don't you tell me you want wine?
I'll give
you wine instead. All right, but it's worth $30 now. So instead of getting $25,
the wine,
the corned beef, the 1 pound of corned beef is now worth $30.
Right.
So instead of giving him credit for $25, which I paid him last week, right, for the corned beef, I get credit for $30 for wine because that's what it's worth.
Right.
And he didn't have wine. That's awesome because now I am getting $30.
Not you.
Yeah, but
Just give it $30.
Yeah, but that's ribbis. That's ribbis. That's ribbis. That's ribbis.
But you gave him the money.
I gave him the money, and now I give him $25, and in the end, I'm getting $30 of
But
wine.
he doesn't have. He gave you one voluntarily. Not like
No, because that's the market price. The market price went up to 30. So then when I transferred, instead of getting corned beef, I want wine.
If it gave me the corned beef, even though it's worth more, that's not ribbis.
Right.
But because they didn't have the wine with me when it happened.
And then you said you're giving me credit for the wine. Now,
you say he didn't give you $25 of wine. He gave you $30.
exactly, because that's what the corned beef is worth a week later. Right.
You say, oh, you paid me $25. I'll give you $25 of wine.
Right.
But he gave you.
I gave him $25, and I'm getting a week later, I'm getting credit for $30 for wine. Now, Zok the Gemara, so the Shavik the ribis deraisa, the Kabafarish Drabanan. Now, the fact that we didn't do a case of ribis deraisa, and we only came to explain the case we just had, this complicated case of Midrabanan, Mifal deraisa, Neshech, with Harbis Chada, we'll see that it must be that deraisa, Neshech, and ribis is one thing, right? You give $4 and you get in return $5. Well, we're both involved. The Torah, no, we'll soon see that the Torah says both. The lender, the borrower, they're both involved in the issue. So this is not a classic case. This is right. So we'll soon see in the Gemara, as the Gemara entitles later on. So this is a case. I understand. They can't just say that ribis is only the Rabbanan, right? Kroiksiv, it says neshech kasef, the ribis eichel. The pasuk says, right, that there's neshech by money and ribis by ochel. The Tizbra, right? The Ika neshech below tarbis. But tarbis below neshech, do you really think there's such thing as neshech without ribis or ribis or tarbis without neshech? Neshech below tarbis. Hey, what's the case of neshech below tarbis? So Gemara says, so let's say I go ahead and I say, hey, I'm going to give you 100 prutos, and you go ahead and you pay me back 120 prutos. So mekara kaimi b'mea tago. Now, in the beginning, 100 prutos can go ahead and purchase a danka, right? A certain amount of 100 prutos can buy a can of Coke. Okay, then the price of Coke goes up. Well, then it goes up, and our price of Coke is $1 is 120 prutos. So, but wait, I gave you money for a Coke. In essence, if you look at it, I gave you money, the value of a Coke, and you returned me the value of a Coke. Happened to me, I gave you 100, and you gave me back 120, but it was still the value of a Coke. So what's this case? So neshech over there, it's neshech because you got to give you 120 because the kanabi slate, right? Because over there that he's getting bitten, right? The borrower, right? Because he's giving me 120 back. However, the shalimine me did because he gave me something that I didn't give him, right? He gave me 20 extra. However, tarbis lack of the less ravcha. There's no tarbis. There's no my increasing my profits because the danka is viva danka shakali. I lent him a danka and he gave me back the value of a danka. I gave him. It was like I gave him a Coke and he gave me back. So I didn't get richer, but he got bit in such a case.
What about if it's less than 6?
What do you mean? No, it's still.
What we said before.
No, there's not a sale. This is borrowing. No, there's not borrowing. No, not borrowing. Not borrowing. Borrowing is different. Borrowing is different. Right? This is interest. So Gemara says, if you go after the beginning, if you go after the beginning, then Lamaisa I gave him 100 and he returned me 120, which is more. And if you're looking at the result value, then there's no change in either. And furthermore, how could you find the case of Tarbis, the guy increasing, without the borrower being bit? If I lent him something with 100 for 100, right? In other words, that both of them was, if it went down, right? Let's say it went down in value, right? In other words, that I gave you something for 100 and you gave me back 100. In other words, no ribis. But in the end, right, the money you gave me back was now more valuable, right? So you pay me back, but it was deflation, right? It became more valuable. So it sounds like you're getting hurt, right? Such a case, you're getting hurt, right? So the Gemara says, I understand. If you're going after the beginning, then then right, neither one is the right is getting hurt because it's the same amount. But if you go after the price changes, then and the guy is paying more and the other guy is getting wealthier. So rather Rava can say, really, you don't find a case of where one is getting bit with the other one is profiting. And so why does Torah say tarbis and ribis? In order that the person violates two lavin. He violates two things, and that's the reason why it's mentioned two things. One quick thing, it says as it says over there. Actually, we'll stop here. Yeah, let's just stop here because we got to go down.
Why did these guys?
We'll get there. Otherwise, you got to return all that money made.
Rabbi Reese doing Tuesday?
I think so. Yeah. So you'll be in touch with Rabbi Reese. I'll speak to him this morning. 7:42.